The sun had barely risen over the quiet stretch of rural highway when the roar of motorcycle engines echoed down the asphalt. Lucas Briggs, president of the Road Haven Riders, led the pack with a calm authority that came from years of carrying other people's burdens on his shoulders. But what happened that morning was something none of them were ready for, something they would later say changed them all. It started with a sound. A small, desperate voice fighting against the thunder of engines. "Please. Please help me." Lucas braked so hard the back tire skidded. The other riders slowed, confused, until they all caught sight of her, a tiny girl with tangled blonde hair, a floral backpack hanging off one arm, and tears streaking down her face. She couldn't have been more than 9. She stood on the edge of the road, shaking so violently it looked like the wind might blow her over. Lucas pulled off his helmet and knelt down in front of her, eyes softening. "Hey, sweetheart, what's wrong? Did you get hurt?" The girl swallowed hard, her breath hitching. "My stepfather, he wants to take me away. I don't want to go with him." A few of the bikers exchanged looks. This wasn't the kind of trouble they usually dealt with, but something in the girl's voice, fear, urgency, the kind kids shouldn't know, hit every one of them like a punch. Lucas pushed his gloves into his back pocket. "Where's your mom?" "She's at the house," the girl whispered. She was crying. She told him she didn't want him to take me anywhere, but he said she can't stop him. He told her she had no say. Her lips trembled. "I got scared and ran out the back. I didn't know where else to go." "What's your name?" Lucas asked. "Alina." "Well, Alina," he offered his hand cautiously. "You're safe with us. I promise." The girl clung to his fingers like she'd finally found something solid in a world that felt like it was collapsing under her. Behind Lucas, the riders quietly powered down their engines. No one blinked. No one moved. Every one of them knew, they weren't driving away from this. But Lucas also knew they had to tread carefully. "Is he hurting you or your mom?" he asked gently. Alina didn't speak, she just shrugged with a tiny, broken movement that said far more than words could. Kids didn't shrug like that unless they'd learned that telling the truth sometimes made things worse. One of the riders, a tall man named Brian with a soft heart despite his intimidating tattoos, walked closer. "Boss, we should go talk to the mom. Make sure she's okay." Lucas nodded but didn't release Alina's hand. "Can you show us your house? We're not gonna go inside unless you want us to." Alina hesitated, then pointed down a gravel road that cut through a sparse line of trees. "It's that way. The one with the white porch." Lucas led her toward his bike. "You can ride with me, but only if you're comfortable." She nodded quickly. He lifted her gently onto the seat, making sure her feet were steady. Another rider gave her an extra helmet, and she clutched it like a lifeline before securing it over her small head. Lucas climbed on in front of her, but before starting the engine, he looked at the group. "This might be nothing, or it might be everything. We stay calm, keep our heads clear. We don't escalate unless absolutely necessary." Everyone agreed. They rode down the gravel road slowly, careful not to scare her. As they approached the house, Lucas felt Alina's hands tighten around his vest. "There," she whispered. The house was small, a little worn, but lived in. A broken porch rail. A wind chime barely hanging on. The front door was closed, but the blinds were uneven, like someone had been peeking out recently. Lucas parked first, letting the group fan out behind him. Alina slipped off the bike, but before she took a step, the front door opened. A woman stood in the doorway, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled into a messy bun, apron still tied around her waist like she'd been interrupted mid-task. And the moment she saw Alina, her breath caught. "Alina!" she cried, running toward her daughter and dropping to her knees. She wrapped the child in her arms with such force it looked like she was afraid to ever let go. Lucas hung back, giving them space. Eventually the woman looked up at him, tears still streaming. "I'm Kayla," she said shakily. I didn't know where she went. I was terrified. She came to us asking for help," Lucas said. "She said her stepfather wants to take her away." Kayla's expression crumpled, and for a moment she looked like she might collapse. "He said he's taking her out of state to his brother's place. He said he's done dealing with my attitude, and since he's on her birth certificate, he can do whatever he wants." She shook her head. "I tried to stand up to him, but he gets angry so fast." Before Lucas could respond, a car door slammed around the side of the house. Alina jumped. Kayla's grip on her tightened. Lucas stood immediately, sensing the shift in the air, a storm rolling in, heavy and dangerous. A tall man rounded the corner. Jaw clenched. Fists balled. Eyes narrowed as he took in the sight of the bikers surrounding his yard. "What the hell is this?" he snapped. "Alina. Get over here. Now." Lucas moved forward slowly, hands open, voice calm. "That's not happening," he said. "Not until we understand what's going on." The man stepped closer, aggression radiating off him. "You people need to get off my property," he growled. "This is family business." Lucas didn't break eye contact. "Maybe," he said. "But today, this family business involves us." The tension thickened like fog settling over the yard. Alina clung to her mother, burying her face in Kayla's shoulder as her stepfather's boots crunched across the gravel. Lucas positioned himself subtly between the man and the two terrified figures behind him. The other riders shifted with quiet purpose, forming a loose semicircle, not threatening, but undeniably protective. The man stopped a few feet from Lucas, face flushed with anger. "Move," he barked. "I'm taking my kid. I don't need permission from a bunch of leather-wearing strangers." Lucas remained steady, his voice even. "No one is trying to stop you from talking. But your stepdaughter ran into the road screaming for help. We're going to figure out why." The man scoffed. "She overreacts. She's a dramatic kid. And you," he jabbed a finger at Kayla, "you've been filling her head with lies." Kayla's voice trembled as she responded, but she didn't look away. "I begged you not to take her. You don't get to make decisions like that without me." He stepped toward her, voice lowering to something dark. "You don't tell me what I get to do." A few bikers shifted again, the sound of boots grinding in unison. It was a silent warning. Lucas spoke softly but firmly. "Don't take another step." The man turned to him. "Or what? You think I'm scared of you people?" Lucas didn't rise to the bait. "You don't need to be scared. You need to calm down. Right now your wife and stepdaughter are afraid of you. That's the problem." Alina whimpered, and her stepfather's jaw twitched. For the first time, uncertainty crossed his face, just a flicker, quickly masked. "I want to talk to my kid alone," he demanded. "No," Kayla said, gripping Alina tighter. "No," Lucas echoed, but his tone remained level. "This doesn't happen in the shadows." The man's shoulders tensed. "You can't keep me from her." "We're not," Lucas replied. "We're making sure everyone is safe while she talks." A beat of silence passed. Then the man pointed at Lucas with shaking frustration. "Fine. You want to know everything? She doesn't listen. She doesn't respect me. I'm trying to get things under control. And if she's going to live under my roof, she needs discipline." "Discipline isn't the same as fear," Lucas said. "Kids don't run into the road crying for help because of chores or rules. Something scared her enough to run." The man opened his mouth to argue when a deep voice from the back of the group spoke up. "Kids shaking like a leaf," Brian murmured. "That's not normal." The man glared at him, then at the group as a whole, and for a moment his confidence wavered. His eyes darted to his car, still running, and then back to the riders. It was clear he was weighing his options. Kayla lifted her chin. "I'm calling the sheriff." Her husband's expression sharpened. "You're what?" "I'm done being scared of you," she whispered. "You can't just take her somewhere I can't reach her." He took one slow step toward her, eyes narrowed. "You think the sheriff cares about some family argument? They'll take my side. I'm the legal guardian on paper." "You're not acting like one," Lucas said. "You don't know anything about me," the man snapped. "You don't know how hard it's been raising someone else's kid while she—" He stopped himself, but the damage was done. Kayla flinched. Alina's breath hitched. Lucas exhaled. "Now we're starting to get the truth." The man shoved a hand through his hair, pacing in a tight circle like a trapped animal. "She makes everything harder. She cries over nothing. And then Kayla blames me for trying to straighten things out." "She's a child," Lucas said quietly. "Children cry when they're scared. They run when they don't feel safe." The man stopped pacing and clawed at the air in frustration. "I'm doing my best. I never asked for any of this." Kayla swallowed, voice soft but steady. "We didn't ask for your anger either." Those words pierced the air. The man looked between them all, Lucas, Kayla, Alina, the riders, and something in his stance changed. His certainty cracked. His anger flickered. And beneath it, something almost like exhaustion appeared. He took a long breath, eyes still darting. "I need air," he muttered, backing toward his car. Lucas moved cautiously, ready to intervene if needed. But the man didn't lunge. He didn't come closer. He simply leaned against the hood of his vehicle, hands over his face, breathing hard, like a storm finally losing momentum. Kayla held her daughter close, whispering soothing words. Alina stayed pressed against her, but after a moment, she peeked at Lucas. "Are we safe now?" she asked in a tiny voice. Lucas nodded. "Yes. We're not going anywhere." One of the riders pulled out his phone. "Sheriff's 10 minutes away," he said. "They'll sort this out." The man's head snapped up. "You called the cops." Lucas didn't respond with hostility, just honesty. "This is bigger than what we can mediate. A third party needs to step in." The man opened his mouth, closed it again, and then let out a hollow laugh that sounded like surrender. "Fine. Let them come. Maybe they'll get her to listen." Alina shrank behind Kayla again, and that small movement, fearful, involuntary, seemed to hit him harder than any of the rider's words. For the first time since they arrived, his fury dimmed. He looked small. Lost. As if he was finally seeing the consequences of his actions through someone else's eyes. Minutes later, the sheriff's cruiser pulled up. The officer stepped out, assessing the scene with experienced calm. Lucas stepped forward to explain everything clearly and respectfully. Kayla confirmed each detail, voice trembling but resolved. Alina held her mother's hand, leaning into her side for reassurance. When the officer approached the stepfather, the man didn't fight. He didn't shout. He simply nodded, shoulders sagging as he answered questions, trying to defend himself but sounding more tired than angry. In the end, the sheriff made the call. The man would leave for the night while a full report was taken. There would be follow-ups. A safety plan. Clear boundaries. And Alina would stay with her mother. As the officer guided the man back to the car so he could collect a few things before leaving, the riders stood quietly. No victory cheers. No gloating. Just relief. Kayla stepped toward Lucas, tears shining in her eyes. "Thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't stopped." Lucas shook his head. "You and Alina were strong. You protected each other. We just showed up at the right time." Alina reached out, small fingers brushing Lucas's hand. "Thank you for listening," she whispered. Lucas kneeled to her height. Anytime, sweetheart. And if you ever need us again, you know how loud we are. We won't be hard to find." The riders laughed softly at that, tension finally easing. As Alina smiled, really smiled, for the first time that morning, Kayla wrapped her arms around her again, as if memorizing the feeling of safety. Lucas looked at the family and felt something settle deep inside him. This was why they rode. To show up. To protect. To remind people they were never alone. The engines roared back to life moments later, echoing through the countryside as the riders pulled away, leaving behind a home no longer filled with fear, but with hope. And for Lucas, that was the kind of ride worth taking every single time.